Hello, everyone. Anyone who's out there, it's Chelsea today, and we're going to be doing some live watercoloring on ATCs. Peg isn't here today because she took a last-minute weekend trip to go see her kids, and they're about to move away, so she wanted to go spend the weekend with them and the last chance to do that, so she's not here today. I see Ela is here. And I don't know if anyone else has joined us yet. It says 4 watching, but I only see 1 person. Hi, Kathleen. So I am doing this kind of last minute thing that usually I'm better prepared than this, but I've got all different types of watercolor products out today, not just your standard watercolor pans like you might see normally. I've got other things that I consider watercolors. I've got liquid watercolors. I've got different types of watercolor crayon or stick or pencil type products, some brush type stuff. I have something new that I just bought for my travel kit, and I haven't even opened it yet. I just cut the thing this morning. I bought this on Amazon. It's a Chinese product, and it has its own water brush. And then it has all these watercolor pans in kind of a flip out system. So I thought we would try to play with that today. I don't know the quality of them or anything. I just thought that would be something handy to have, easy to throw in a travel kit. You just put your little brush in that, and it's got some type of a little foam to clean your brush, I guess, or something there. So all you would need is water and paper. Let's see who else is rolling in. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Janice. Hi, Jane, Cindy, Shell, Peggy. It's just me today, guys. Just Shell. Peg isn't here. She wanted to go visit her family, so she's not coming today. She might join us maybe if she's not driving. Hi, Sybil. Thanks, everyone, for coming today. So let's start with this new pan thing that I have and see what it's like. I guess I can just fan these out to get all the colors, to see all the colors. It looks like there's a lot of colors, and they are labeled here, and or color swatched or whatever, so I can kind of get an idea of what they are. This is a pretty cool little device. It's kind of, oh, it even has a mixing pan underneath. It's got a mixing pan too. So it's got every possible thing that you could need to do watercolors, even a brush. I'm just not sure, should I leave them fanned out or should I just open one at a time, because some of them are pretty far back in there. I don't know if that's just plastic. Maybe that's just plastic. I'm not sure. Not sure, people. Hi, Vicki. Hi, Marie. Hi, Connie. I'm glad you're all here. So I've got some ATCs cut here. This one is really thick, and it's cut down a little bit smaller so that I can put it on a frame. And I'm not sure where this one came from. I can put it like this. So it's been trimmed down slightly smaller. I've had it for a while, but it's a different type of paper than I normally use. So I must have had a piece of paper and I just cut it up. And then the rest of these are cut out of just the Canson 140-pound watercolor paper. It has a rough side and a smooth side like a cold press watercolor paper does. I also have some hot press Fabriano, but I didn't cut any of that up. So I've got lots of things that I can play with today. And I've got out some of my nice brushes. These are my, I don't know, Uric, something, ones that I use for watercolor. I don't put these in anything else at all. I've got clean water. I've got a couple different buckets of water. These watercolor brushes hold a lot of water in the ferrule, and then they come to a very nice point, and they're good quality. So these are the ones that I generally use for like a large watercolor. I'm not sure how well they'll work on such tiny little things here. Did I say hi to Connie yet? Vicky, Marie? I don't know. People are rolling in. It's awesome. So let's just start with this little one because I haven't used it yet. And let's try some of these colors. I think I'm going to spray them. Get them going. I don't know. I don't know how these work. See what they're like. Oh, looks like they're pretty nice, pretty thick. So I'm just going to start with something real basic, just to give these colors a try. Of course, we're still doing the Art Joy of Sharing group challenge for the month, which is ATCs every day. And that's the reason that we've been doing ATCs all month on the live show. Let's see what some of these other colors are. Do they get darker? I think so. Here we go. Yep. Not bad. Not bad at all. This one's more in the yellow tones. This one on the end. They are labeled and numbered. I don't know from which direction they're going though, so it's hard to tell. Holly, it's just shell. Hello, Daisy. Hello, Lisa. Just shell today. Peg went to visit. Yeah, I don't think I should have sprayed these because now they've got little holes in them. She went to visit her daughter who's moving away. She used to live fairly close and they're moving away. So they decided at the last minute yesterday to just drive out there for the weekend. So that's why she's not here today. She's probably literally driving right now. Yeah, Vicki, that's what I bought this for, was to put it in a travel kit. That was my idea because I've been out of the house so much lately. Of course, I haven't actually done very much art on the run like I thought I would, though. I thought I'd be doing a lot, but I haven't been. Let's go into this lightest green and see what color that is. Now this is going to be fun. This is a fun little palette for sure. I like it. I think I'm going to have a lot of colors to play with, and it seems to be nice and pigmented. I don't see anything at all bad about this palette. I like it. So over here on the blues, it looks like they're just sorted by kind of color families. So I don't know if this one in the back is a color or not. Oh, that's purple. Okay, they put purple on there. That'll make a nice shadow color because when you mix purple and green, what happens? You guys know this. What happens when you mix purple and green? You get yuck, basically. You get brown. So if I do that with these watercolors, they blend on the paper and I can get a good shadow when putting that purple in there, which is probably why they did that. That's my guess. So then we have some greenish tones over here on the blues, which is nice. So this is more like a real pine tree color. If you couldn't tell, and I'm sorry if you couldn't, these are pine trees. So maybe I'll put a few in front with this color. So the problem that I have with watercolor, and I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm probably not, is that I have trouble, and it's not just with watercolor, it's also with any other product that I do. I have trouble leaving white space. I I just really cannot train myself. I've been trying, and someday I'll get it, but I just can't seem to train myself to leave the white space. It bugs me way too much. And so I tend to overdo it with watercolor because I can't. I'm with a acrylic product. I can come back in and add white after the fact. With watercolor, you need to leave the white and just leave it. Just leave it alone, Shell. But I never do. So that's my problem. Is it am I the only one, or is that everyone? Probably anyone that does mixed media probably has the same problem because we're used to putting layers, and you can layer watercolor, but you need to leave white, and I just don't like to do that. All right, so let's see what the mixing palette's like. What if I want a real watery blue and I want to put a lot of water in it? Then I probably should mix it on the palette. Looks like it's got some pretty decent lips on it so that I don't spill it. So I think this would be really fun, just even if you're not, stuck somewhere traveling, you could take this out and do plein air with it. So you see how I want to fill in all the white spaces? It's a thing. It's a thing. It's just a thing. But, if you want to practice watercolor, HECs is a great way to go. So we've got some browns and stuff too. There's some reds and oranges. There's rusty colors. There is a teeny tiny spider on my desk. I do not like that. Don't like spiders. Why are you on my desk? Go away. Okay, does that look like a forest? I hope so. That was my intention. So I like it. Hi, Paula. Yep, people seem to be agreeing that it is hard to leave white space when you're watercoloring. Okay, so I think that this travel kit is pretty fun. I think it's easy to clean up because I can just take this paper towel and wipe it down, and then I can just roll them back in there. I could store water in this. Let's see what type of a tip it has. Okay, maybe I would prefer a different brand of, see how not pointed that is. I'd probably prefer a different brand of water brush. But anyway, I think that's pretty fun. This one is just out there on Amazon. It says made in China, and then it's got Chinese writing on it, so I can't even tell you. Oh, maybe on the back here. No, these are directions with Chinese writing. Can anybody read that? Because I can't. I can't tell you what brand it is because it's a little house with a little house and trees behind it, and then a candle with an E. That's the brand. Can't read Chinese, sorry, or Japanese, or any of those Mandarin languages. So let's try something else. It's going to be a long show with just me here to entertain you. So the other day, last week, we were doing alcohol ink, and Peg was showing you a fun thing to do where you just kind of use a stencil and you drip alcohol ink over the stencil and then let it dry on there. And I think that the same thing could be done with watercolor with similar results. So we are going to try it. I do wish that I had that spray stuff to make the stencil stick down, because it's not going to want to stick down onto the paper particularly. Let's get it a little bit wet, see if that helps. Oh, that does help. All right. So get the stencil a little wet and it'll stick to the paper better. And then let's just get some fun colors here. Things that go together. These are the Dr. P.H. Martin's fluid watercolors. They're very, very, very intense. So don't get them on your hands, and I don't have a pair of gloves near me. They stick to your hands for good, and you'll be like, dang. These things are intense. Literally just would take one little spot of watercolor, of this watercolor, to do like a whole page. That's how intense it is. So I gave it a little spritz, and yeah, it is going to go under the stencil, but I think it's still going to be cool. It's going to make effects, and I want to just set this aside to dry. Holly said something funny in the chat. I think it was back when I was asking what happens when you mix purple and green. And she said, huh, I was going to say yuck, but I freeze up on tests, the fear of being wrong. There's no wrong here. I think you guys have heard a million YouTube people say, what happens when you mix these colors? It makes mud. Yep, it does. Mud just being a brown color. At least most mud's a brown color. Sometimes it's kind of red. What other color do I want on here? I want a third color. Let's go with some orange. It's not too far off. So I almost kind of feel like I'm wasting this by dripping it, but that's going to be intense. So let's just set this aside for a while. I'll just blot it. I want it to dry sometime within this show, so I'm like blotting it a bit. I don't think I got enough napkins. We'll just set it over there to dry for a while, and we'll try something else. So speaking of stencils, I got out some of these other products that are what are considered, in my opinion, to be watercolors, because they're water soluble. So anything that's water soluble is going to be a watercolor, right? These things are made by Design Memory Crafts. They're gelatos, and they're just goopy, not goopy, but they're like lipstick. They're like really soft stuff, and they're in a lipstick tube, and that's the reason that they make me think of lipstick. And I think that I could just take these, and because they're soft enough, I might be wrong though, that I could rub them through a stencil and make a fun pattern. That was my thought anyways. Let's see if it works. Let's get this one. This one really looks like lipstick. I would totally wear that. This stencil might have to not be open enough for me to do this. It seems like it's just more writing on the stencil, which will lead us to something else we're going to do. But we'll try this first. How about this coral color? I think I'm getting a little bit through, but I need something that's got more open holes than this one. See what happens. Okay, I got a bit. So let's spritz that and get it to start moving a little bit. That should make an interesting pattern. Seems to not want to move though. But you can take some other product like a baby wipe and just move it around a little bit, and you'll get what I thought you were going to get. If not, we can jazz that one up a little bit more. But how about if we take the stencil and we get it good and wet? Because I've now got that on there, right? Make sure that it's going to do something. And then instead we put the paper on it. This might have a different effect. I want that paper to soak up a little bit. No, I didn't really do what I wanted either, but you've got a little bit of the pattern anyway. So you get the idea. This could be a mark making tool. A stencil could be a mark making tool with gelatos, except for it doesn't really seem to want to. You know, I've had these gelatos for a really long time, and they might be getting just a little bit dry. They even come with this, so let's take one of these and pick up some of the color that got left on here. See if we can't make this more interesting by getting some of the darker areas darker. And maybe bringing in some more of that light yellow in places, which is the color I started with. I think these gelatos are like one of the very first things I ever bought, because I started watching videos on mixed media and I was like, oh, I want to do that. And at the time they were really, a lot of people were using them, and I thought that was the thing that I needed, and discovered in not very long a time that they're really not my thing. But you got to try it, right? You got to try it. So that's what happened. That's why I still have them 5 years later, and they're hardly even used. Well, that's a little better. Later, I'll come back in with the stencil again, and I'll put some white over the top with the stencil, and I think I'll get a good pattern. But that's not watercolor, so we're not going to do that right now. And I'm not really sure why on this one I got all of these weird little spots of stuff. Maybe I'll try it again. Let's try it again. Let's try to get some more of that interesting pattern down here. Kind of like a gel plate, except for it's not gelatin, it's a stencil. So not many people talking in the chat. What's going on, guys? What have you been doing lately? Anything interesting? I know it's summer and everything should be a party, but also people have to work and have real lives and all that. So, oh, that's better. Got some interesting pattern on there. It's kind of hard to see, but it'll dry down eventually and be interesting. I promise. I promise it's going to be interesting. So that's gelato. That is as interesting as I thought. I thought that was going to work out way better. This is a new stencil I just got. It's from the club for this month, and it's Aboriginal. Whoops, and I just messed it up. Aboriginal designs. It's pretty cool. But they are small, so probably I needed something bigger for my gelato experiment. I have a wet deli paper. Wet everything. Wonder how this is going. Let's find out. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's cool. See how the design was left in the watercolor? It's very similar to what Peg was doing last week with the alcohol ink. Also, this is still wet, so I think I could just go over the top of it and pick up some of that color too. Peggy says she's in Alabama and there's more storms coming. They've been having a lot of crazy storms over there. Okay, not very much. Came up. Let's get a little bit more off of there. Hola, mi amiga, I would assume. We have a new person joining us called Cubanations. Okay, that's pretty cool. And actually, that's pretty cool. My towel. I think I'm going to let that dry. Might use that for some sort of a collage situation at some point in the future. All right, what should we do next? That's the question. I really like this one. That turned out really super cool. I might want to try that again with different colors. See how it goes. Wished I had a roll of paper towels up here, but I don't because I ran out. Let's try a different stencil. Let's try some of these people. I just got this one. I don't like that the people's heads are going to be at the bottom there. Well, I guess if I put it up here, then they wouldn't be. All right, that works. Let's do that. But then the feet. I don't want to take the time to tape it either, but I guess, well, it's just an experiment anyway. Holly says she has 2 new puppies that won't let her sleep. So she's been a zombie lately. So let's try some more of this fluid watercolor. About that, and then let's go with some green. And maybe just a drop of this juniper green, which looks more like teal to me. The whole dropping thing isn't very accurate. Let's give out, maybe mopping up just a little bit of this. Gonna need to let that dry. Okay. What else shall we try? I've got my regular watercolors out. These are the ones I use the most often. And they are Koi travel set. And I tend to miss them, which makes the pans crack. But I don't care because they still work, even if they're cracked. So if all you want to do is make a funky background and you don't really care, you're not like trying to make a pattern, you could take something like a white Crayola and just do some scribbling. You know, we like to scribble. We all like to scribble. We liked doing this when we were a kid. Just get that white crayon all over there. And then you can take your watercolors and just start kind of splatting them on there with a little water. And wherever the crayon is, creates a resist. And you know how much I love resist. I'm a fan, big fan of resist. I don't know why. It's magic. It makes me happy. So you can just go through some colors, and that makes pretty fun design. I could do that all day. I really could. I just like it. Right? Isn't that fun? That'd make a great background for an ATC. Throw a couple more layers on there with something, and yeah. The spider crawled away under a bunch of crap that's on the side of my desk. And yes, I hope it doesn't come back because, yeah, I don't know. It was tiny. It was so tiny you guys probably couldn't even see it. It was really, really tiny. If it was bigger, I would have been screaming because I'm just really not a fan. That's interesting. I probably shouldn't have pulled that up yet because you don't really get the figures. I didn't let it dry long enough. But it's an interesting background anyway. I can smear some of this stuff around. I can see where the figures are, but they're not super standing out. Still pretty though. I can see the male figure over here pretty well, but the female one's pretty obliterated. But I could see, you know, maybe tracing them and then getting something going on with that, on that, once it's dry. Let's see if we can get any print from the leftovers on the stencil. Going through my cards pretty fast. Yes, they are very ghostly, like spirits or something. Actually, as it's starting to dry a little bit, that the female's coming through a little bit, just a little bit. I can't remember who designed this one. I'll look on the stencil when I pick it up. But I thought it was, oh, those are very ghostly. It's designed by, yeah, she's the one that I can't ever say her name right. It's Sjodin. I don't know if the S is silent, so I always hesitate to say it because I'm afraid I'll get it wrong. So Sjodin, or just Jodin, or just, I don't know. Anyway, what else can we do? I've got some other, well, we can play some more with my travel set since I only did one thing with that. Let's just paint with it a little bit. I've got all these crazy things everywhere now. I wish Peg was here. I don't have enough to cover an hour and a half in my brain today. Got so many things going on. My water's getting dirty. So I can't even run off and go fix my water because it's just me. Let's play with, I don't know, what should we play with? see if we can make something interesting here. So the one thing that I like about watercolor is you can blot it. And so when you have too dark of an application, you can just come back in and blot it really easily. I like that. And I like that it's watery. I think it looks cool. Let's see, what do we got? Some of that to blend in with it. Maybe a little bit of that. And even with this giant brush, I can still go in and, make interesting stuff, make a little bit of shadow, things like that. Need it to dry though. Need it to dry faster. Because here we have the area that should be highlighted that is completely obliterated because I didn't leave light. That is the problem. So then you just put a little water over it and you take your blotting tool and you just blot it. You get the idea, right? Oh, you are right, Denise. The green is starting to really show up as it dries. Look at that. Oh, that's going to be a fun one. Might finish that one for today's stuff that I got to get done later. Like my ATC for the day. Haven't done my ATC. You guys done your ATCs for today? Are you even doing ATC a day? Ah, not dry. No patience. That's probably my number one problem of all with watercolor. And it's not the watercolor's fault, it's mine. I got zero patience. Zero, zero, zero. And that's a problem. Holly, I blame the puppies. It's all their fault. Holly's too tired to do art. The green female, they're talking about, one suggests the green film. Denise says it's really showing up. Then Holly says C3PO with the mohawk question mark. And Peggy says, I am Groot. I don't know. But I don't know. It's a very thin. I think this up here is the head. So it's got a very small head. It could be an alien. I guess we'll find out when I finish it. Maybe today, later. I don't know. It could happen. Got to go to the infusion center, but after that, and I also have to finish something that's supposed to be due tomorrow. But after that, maybe. Maybe today on the show. Could take suggestions. I probably should finish something on the show so that I have something to show for myself. That is some intense hair right there. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Yeah, that's a gross color. All right, let's try this again. Let's get a smaller brush. This is one of my water brushes, so it has water on the tip already. Right about here would be the shadows. Maybe shadows right about there. And there would definitely be shadows down here. It's looking like a lion. Oh boy, people, I was not prepared. I was not prepared today. I'm sorry. We're just winging it. We're just completely 100% winging it. This one's going to require some acrylic to fix it. But I'm a mixed media artist. I'm mixing my media. Trying to lighten up a little bit in those deep pits from Hades right there. Sort of working. Oh, I'm being quiet because I'm concentrating. Denise, it's not me who's having infusions. It's my husband who has stage 4 metastatic colon cancer. So it's scorched earth infusions. It's bad stuff. All right, let's get a little purple and we'll get some sort of eyes in there. Get a little bit more. going on there. And let's get a little bit of warmth going on here with some of this. Add some of this red and maybe a little bit of magenta here, some of these areas, just to warm it up a little bit. That's a little bit overboard. Her eyes might be closed. Maybe that's why they're not as bright. Maybe that's what it is. But see how you can, just with a wet brush, you can lift watercolor a little bit. I mean, it doesn't ever completely go 100%, but it is liftable. And that's one really nice forgiving thing about the medium. Especially coming from the dark side. Sorry you had to do infusions, Denise. They're not fun. Anybody who hasn't done it. Yeah, bad stuff. Just bad. Makes you feel yucky, tired, and sick. The treatment is like the treatment is almost worse. I mean, it's not obviously, but bad stuff. See about these eyebrows. Maybe the lash line. Ah, too wet, too wet. Should I give up or should I still keep trying to do this? It's the ultimate test to find out if you know anything at all about watercolors, to try this. Try to make a face, see what happens. Takes a lot of practice, and I haven't practiced because I'd rather glue paper to stuff. So this particular watercolor set, strangely enough, has white in it, which would, I guess, technically be a gouache and not a watercolor at all. But they put it in there, so if they put it in there, I'm going to use it. Penny's talking about her cat bringing in a chipmunk into the house now that it's spring. This chick has some seriously 80s hair going on. His 80s are still alive. We go and watch bands frequently. It's still alive. All right, anyway. I'm not sure if I should keep doing this. It's probably getting pretty boring. Let's move to something else. We'll finish her off later with some pens, maybe. All right, what else did I drag out? Somebody was talking about the new Inktense palette. I don't have that, but I do have Inktense watercolor pencils that turn themselves into very permanent color once they're dry. So that's the reason it's called Inktense, is because it is it's a pencil that is made from ink, which is water reactivated, but then once it's dry, it's ink, so it's permanent. Does that make sense? Did I explain that well? So apparently they said that there's someone was talking about that they actually have a palette, which would probably be super cool, and I should look into that, because that would make permanent watercolor, and I'm not opposed to that. I have permanent India ink, which I consider a type of a watercolor because it's water activated, and I do use that sometimes. But for mixed media, man, you want something that's permanent because you want to just keep putting layers on top. I also have the Inktense blocks, which are basically exactly the same thing, only just a block form instead of a pencil form, and you can just pick it up with a brush or something. But these are fun. It's a precise application of color where you want it because it's pencil, and then it dries and it's permanent. So I'm just playing around here. I don't know what I'm doing. There's all these little areas of white that I decided to make dark for some reason. I know you guys have seen these before, but they're pretty cool. Another thing I had to have, just had to. Let's switch colors. Let's bring in some other color. Why not? Different blue. I can't tell what really the colors are. However, on them, it's kind of like my Spectrum Noir alcohol markers. I don't know what color they are until I put them on the paper. It does have a tip. You know, it is painted. They're painted supposedly the color that they are, but I don't know. Is that the same? Not really. The color that's coming out is much brighter. So I don't think they're very accurate. And they all kind of look the same. Like these two, they kind of look the same, right? They don't, like, they're sort of different, but not really. But then when I put it down on the paper, you'll see that it's going to be different. This is very different than that. So I'm not really sure. Still fun though. Just probably should swatch it. I haven't done it though. I find swatching very boring. Some people really enjoy it. They like to just sit there and swatch all day, and I think it's super boring. See if anyone. Denise says my supplies are like eye candy. I gotta have the stuff, or else what would I show? So I get it, and then some of it I really fall in love with, and some of it I don't use as much. And then I feel bad. If you're just starting out, you don't need all these things, even though it seems like you do, and it seems like it would be really fun to order them all. Build your collection slowly. Use what you have. Don't go crazy, even though it seems like fun. because you might end up with something that you just never use because it's just not your thing. Of course, the flip side of that whole conversation is how do you know if it's your thing or not if you haven't tried it? Which is why I have them all. I make Christmas lists for my family. And my Christmas lists are filled with all kinds of art supplies that I want. And they can choose whether that's what they're going to do or not, but that's how I've gained a lot of my art supplies, is by putting them on, those Amazon lists that you can make, and then you can send the link to people. I mean, I don't just send the link, and say, oh, this is what I want. It's like if they ask me, it's a lot easier to send a link than it is to try to explain the thing that you wanted to someone who doesn't know what the heck you're talking about, which is pretty much everyone in my family. They don't know. They wouldn't know an Inktense pencil from I don't know what. I don't even have a comparison. You know what I'm saying? They just don't know. Lindy says she can't swatch it all. It drives her up the wall. I agree. It's just not fun. And some people absolutely love it. But to me, it's just torment. I want to make something. I don't want to sit around making swatches. Well, now, see, I thought that was going to be magenta, and it's red. Red. Who knew? I don't know. Anyway, that could be a fun background eventually if I get around to finishing it all the way. Just by outlining those spots that I put on there with the Inktense pencils. I don't know how many's in here. 36. This is the set of 36, which I've never swatched. That's 36 swatches I've never made. So you've seen the gelatos. Whoa, hang on, I just dropped some. You've seen the Inktense. Now here's something that I do love. And if I hadn't got it, I never would have known that I love it. These are Neocolor 2s. And they're not gelatos because they're not, like if you were to try to take a piece of it and squish it in your fingers like this, the gelato would smooth out onto your hand. It would be squishy enough and waxy enough. This is more like an actual crayon, but then when it gets water on it, it breaks down real fast, and it has a lot of pigment in it. And so I just love these. Like, these are the thing that I would take with me to the island if I only had 3 art supplies that I could take. And I generally just like to put them on direct and then sometimes blend them a little bit like that. You can also, now see, it even looks like a crayon, right? Go away, white crayon, you're confusing me. You can also write these right onto paper and pick them up. Has a different way of doing it. So say you want to use some of this, you can just write it on your scratch paper and pick it up and use it to paint with. So I love these. I use them all the time. You guys, if you guys watch my other channel, you probably see me using them all the time. That's why they're in this kind of weird open format that I keep them in, just by my desk, because I enjoy them so much. I need to do something about this chick's eyes. It's a problem. I can't decide if I want to make them into eyes or if I want to make them if they need to stay into closed eyes. I just can't decide. Wendy, you don't like the pencil, the Inktense pencils? Is that why it was a mistake to buy them? Or did you need a bigger set? She says she made the mistake of buying 24 Inktense pencils. And I'm not sure why it was a mistake. Eyes aren't straight. Oh, it's a day. It's one of those days where I can't do anything right. Not prepared. She needs a little bit more blue in the eyebrows. Because eyebrows should be blue to match the hair. She's a weird looking chick. That's all there is to it. But we can do other stuff with these. Let's see what happens with like, what if you just wanted to use this with some sort of watercolor? It wouldn't have to be crayons. It could be any of your watercolors. Make it a little bit more specific. Would that work? Yeah, you get an interesting effect with that. What color do I want? Hi, Peg. She's explaining why she's not here. That's kind of fun. Glad you could drop in, Peg, and see how unprepared I am. So stencils can be used with watercolor. It just doesn't give you as crisp of an effect. But you can absolutely do it, and you can make some pretty cool stuff. Let's get a different one. What happened to my other one? I have that here. Well, I had another stencil. What happened to it? Oh, there it is. Let's make some interesting background on here. Let's see, what do we got? Let's go with light green. Light green. Why not? That's interesting. Let's pick up another color. How about this light blue, maybe? Bye-bye, Sybil. And let's get a different pattern. How about this one over here? That's a pretty cool pattern, almost like a mandala or something. All right, that's kind of cool. So then, once that's dry, let's get it dry. The big come in with some other colors. Now that we've got the basics down for our design, we could either add more with the stencil or we could just go direct. Maybe these little figures need some type of an aura. So let's give them some yellow. Because they're spirit women. I think spirit women would have an aura. Pretty sure. Right? They're like, what is she talking about? She has lost her mind. It's okay, I didn't need it. So this is kind of what I do with the Stabilo Oil pencil, which is another type of watercolor that we haven't got out yet. I like to go around things, give them shadows, highlights, auras, whatever you want to call it. And I just think it makes them stand out from the background and look more interesting. So what did I do with that stencil? Let's come back in and put some more color on the figures themselves because now they seem pale. Like they kind of faded out. So where's a really, really dark purple? There's one. Now that's a dark purple. That's like indigo. Put that in a little bit. That's cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. Okay. So then I need something super dark for the other one. Let's see. How about I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this. Might have been the color I already used. Maybe it just needs a second layer. Mix it with a little bit of that. Bye-bye. The Tape Queen, I believe her actual name is Shelly or Shell. Like me. She's taken off. Yeah, how about this one? I like these kind of ethereal, amorphous figures. I think they're really cool. I've seen a lot of them around lately. Then we can come in with some intensity in the background too, if we want to. My yellow kind of didn't do much, did it? Kind of faded itself out a little bit. Watercolor dries lighter than what it is when you put it on. So when you put it on and you're like, oh, that's really good, and then 3 seconds later it's dry. And you're like, that's not good. That's kind of what happens. Let's switch to a different type of watercolor. Let's go back to the Inktense pencils. If I can find them here. Oh, I didn't show you guys these yet. You know how I like my Stabilo black and my Stabilo gray and my Stabilo white. You don't see the white one very often, but you guys see the black all the time. These are the Stabilo woodies. And these are big mamma jammas. But they're fun. They're fun to play with. And they're very, very, very water reactive, just like the regular Stabilo. Like more so than any other thing. We're constantly saying that to you. Oh, they're so water reactive. Well, let me tell you, these are. Pretty, pretty, pretty. So I just put a little water on there, and then I can just get those in there, and it'll leave a nice, interesting look on these creatures. Come in with an even lighter one. I think this is going to be my card for today. What do you guys think? Is that a good plan? Now, orange and purple are colors that will make mud if you put them together, but they also are very complementary to each other. So that's why I put that orange on there. I'm going to try not to blend it. This light one isn't showing up as much on this. That's pretty cool. So, what do I want to do? Do I want to make the background more interesting? Do I want to give them something to stand on, or are they floating? What do I want? Maybe I'll intensify their auras a little bit with a pencil. And we'll just kind of fill in some area down here with the same color so that it looks like they're sort of standing. Gonna have to blend that for sure. For sure. A little blending on that. So there's a German artist. She's on Facebook, and she posts stuff almost every single day that she makes. I think her name is Addie Alamanza. Does that sound right? Anyway, she uses these Stabilo Woodies all the time. That's like one of her favorite things. You see them in the pictures that she posts a lot. She thinks that they're great. Addie, I don't know. She makes the dolls. She calls them dolls, but they're like whimsical, stylized female faces that she does. Does it sound familiar to anybody? Or am I just crazy? Probably. I'm going to add a little bit more of some color up at the top and around with this stencil again, because I was enjoying it. Maybe just these little dotty things. Just more of these little dotty things. I like the dotty things. Just press it down a little bit on that side and get some. Just add color over here. Pretty happy with that. I might just, I know this is a watercolor episode and I'm being a bad girl, and I might just use a little bit of white acrylic from my Posca pen if I can get it to come out today. Make a little puddle on my paper. See how there's just a little puddle? And then I can pick it up with my water brush and I can add just a tiny highlight around some things with the white. So it's still with water. I'm still blending it with water. So we're going to pretend that's still a watercolor. But it's like gouache. It's not exactly the same, but it kind of is. Just makes me happy. If I don't use my Posca pen on a project, I just don't feel the same. So we'll just use it in a watercolory sort of way. No one would ever know that's not watercolor. Peggy says, it's an official Shell video. She used her Posca pen. Bye-bye, Peg. Thanks for stopping in. I think that I'm going to take this pattern here. And I'm going to put it, what happened to my white? just make some more. I'm going to put the pattern of the kind of a wheel shape just maybe on this one. Just I'm going to put the dot right in the center of the head. Then I'm going to go in with the white and I'm just going to fill in the spokes. I hope this will show up, but it's it just needs to be done. And if it works, you'll see why. It kind of worked. It's not as bright as I wanted it. So let's make it a different color. Let's make it orange. Then you'll see. You'll see what I wanted to do. It's hard to line it back up. The orange kind of blended in with the wet, but I think that's going to be really cool. I think I need to do it on a different one too. It's kind of like a halo, or yeah, a halo. Let's do this one with the bright green. There we go. That's cool. Gonna need maybe pink on this side. Pink, pink. How about a little bit darker or something? Is this red? It's red. There. That's pretty cool. Just need to add some of this down here a little bit because it's a new color I've introduced. Yeah. I like it. What do you guys think? Do you like it? Put a little edge around it because you know I like them edges. Thank you, Barbara. This is my ATC for today. I think what I need is a very fine pen to finish this off. What do we got? Oh, I got a new set of grays. I've been complaining about not having gray. I think gray would be good for this. Let's do the middle color. There's 2 different sizes of 3 different colors. That's the 0.05 and that's the 0.01. I think I'm going to go with the 01. I'm just going to make right here the tiniest little heart shape, which of course has a hard time writing on the over the all the stuff that's on here. There we go. Oh, come on. Might have to go over that in black. I'm not sure. Maybe just the next darker down gray. Oh, come out. Pesky pins. Yeah, that's better. It's almost black, but not quite. And we'll just take this and we'll just fill it in. All right. That's my card for today. And I think the show's about done. Look. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions or anything before I close down the show? Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Lindy. Now I feel like I need to edge the edges a little bit. Just because now I've put some dark in there, I feel like I need to just put a little bit of dark on the edges. All right. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. So I didn't even get out some of the stuff I had out, but anyway, here's all the, I really like this. That's super cool. Here's the one with the weird aliens. Same stencil. A lot of these are unfinished, but yeah, that's it for today for watercolors on ATCs. Thanks everyone for coming, and don't forget to leave a thumbs up below so that people know this is a decent video, an okay video, an all right video. And yeah, next week we'll be doing collage on ATCs, and I think Peg will be back to do that with me. And of course, that's my favorite medium, so that should be fun. Thanks. Bye-bye, guys. What happened?